In the fast-moving world of news, it's easy to miss the meaning between the lines. That's where we come in. Each episode, we take real headlines from Newsline Philippines and let AI break them down. Not just the what, but the why it matters.
Okay, let's dive right into this. There's a really significant call coming from the Department of Health over in the Philippines.
Right.
They're urging for HIV to be declared a national public health emergency.
Yeah, it's a major push, not just a suggestion. It's coming right from the health secretary, and it's really driven by some, well, quite alarming trends they're seeing.
Our source for this deep dive is a recent article from Newsline Philippines, and it lays out the situation pretty clearly. So our mission here is to unpack why. Why this specific call now, and what does the article actually tell us about what's happening on the ground?
And the core reason, the absolute driver they cite for this emergency status push, it's a dramatic surge in cases, a really rapid one.
Especially among young people, right?
Exactly, that's the standout point.
Dramatic is, I think, the right word. The article highlights a, well, frankly, staggering 500% increase in HIV cases.
Wow.
Specifically among Filipinos aged just 15 to 25. I mean, think about that.
A five-fold increase.
In that specific young group.
Yeah, and that surge among young people, it sort of fits into this wider worrying picture. The DOH recorded an average of 57 new cases per day.
57 a day.
Every single day.
Okay.
From January to March this year. Now compare that to, say, 2014, just a decade ago.
Okay.
The rate then was 21 per day.
So it's more than doubled.
More than doubled the daily rate in 10 years, yeah.
So you've got the daily rate more than doubling overall, and then this absolutely shocking 500% spike among the 15 to 25s.
It adds up quickly.
It's no wonder the article mentions this makes the Philippines the fastest growing country for HIV in the entire Western Pacific region. That kind of acceleration, well, it explains the urgency.
Exactly why they're sounding the alarm so loudly. And what's really telling, I think, is how the demographics have shifted.
How so?
Well, back in the early 2000s, the main age group affected was 35 to 49. Then more recently, it shifted younger to 25 to 34.
Right.
But now, as this data shows, the focus is squarely on that even younger group, 15 to 25. And get this, the article notes the youngest case recorded just this year, a 12-year-old.
12? Wow, that really brings it home. That shift has huge implications for how you even approach prevention, right? Education.
Absolutely. Different strategies are needed. And the main transmission route, the source says, it still remains sexual contact.
Okay.
And it notes that since about 2007, this has largely involved men who have sex with men, the MSM community.
So back to the main point then, why push for a national emergency declaration if the routes and groups are generally understood?
Well, the DOH, and specifically Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa, he's quoted saying this status is needed so, and this is the key part, the whole of society and government can unite to lower new HIV cases.
Okay, so it implies the current approach maybe isn't enough or isn't moving fast enough against this acceleration.
That seems to be the underlying message, yes, like they need a much broader, unified push.
So what does that whole society effort actually look like? What actions are they talking about?
The article mentions the DOH pushing for things like making free and confidential HIV testing much more widely available. That includes self-test kits, too.
Making it easier to know your status.
Right. And also emphasizing combination prevention, condoms, lubricants, and also pre-EP, pre-exposure prophylaxis.
PAP, right. And are these things available now?
Well, interestingly, the article does mention that many of these resources like free kits, counseling, even pre-EP, they are already accessible.
Through who?
Through groups like Love Yourself Inc., for example. And for people who are diagnosed, antiretroviral therapy is available, and it's covered by PhilHealth.
Okay, so the tools are there. What about funding? Is it a money issue? Sometimes these things come down to budget cuts.
That's a fair question. The Newsline piece does touch on it briefly. It notes that even though the U.S. cut some aid back in February,
right,
the DOH says it has sufficient local funding allocated specifically for its HIV response.
So sufficient local funding is stated.
Okay, so let's try and tie this together for you. This deep dive into the source, it really helps you see the specific, quite alarming data points. That 500% youth surge we talked about, the doubling of daily cases overall, being the fastest growing in the region.
Yeah, the numbers themselves.
Exactly. And how these facts are really the bedrock for the DOH's urgent call for this national public health emergency. It paints a picture of a situation escalating rapidly, especially hitting the youth hard.
It really does. Those numbers, particularly for the younger generation, are stark.
Which leads us to, I think, a really crucial question for you to think about. If these effective methods for prevention, testing, and treatment are established and available.
And they say they have the local funding.
Right. If those pieces are in place, what does this urgent call for a whole of society and government effort really suggest is still missing? Or maybe what needs to fundamentally change in the country's approach to actually tackle this surge effectively?
What's the missing link? Something to definitely ponder.